We're back with more from the Valorant Midwest Showdown. We've had a long game, a short game, and now I think we're in for a little bit of a different story. Mostly because we have Frag, a very well known group of players, against Dynasty Farm Animals, maybe a little bit less known group of players.
Yeah, the Fragger bag, I mean, they have had players who have a lot of competitive experience, players who compete in like the top 50 teams in their region very like all the time. And yeah, I don't actually know anyone from Dynasty Farm Animals, so I'm assuming they don't have the same amount of experience. Hopefully they can still bring a very good fight, but definitely expecting Fragger bag to have a pretty good game.
Mean, you said top 50. I would argue that that's a bit inaccurate. I'd say top 20, top 25 even. That's how good these guys are, on an individual level. But listen, that just means that we're going to have to see something interesting. Both these teams have lost to Evil Geniuses in this group A. They've both beat EQ Red, which means that it's time for Dynasty Animals to focus up, just like maybe you can focus up with Gamer Advantage lenses. They're clinically proven to improve sleep, reduce glare, reduce headaches, tired eyes, and digital eye strain. All of which, if you didn't know, are not fun and not great to deal with. You can visit Gamer Advantage at gameradvantage.com to find out more and see what all they have to offer. On the flip side of that, we couldn't be here if it weren't for community gaming, as this $5,000 Valorant Midwest Showdown is brought to you by Community Gaming, and they run weekly tournaments for games like Valorant, like Apex Legends, like Super Smash Brothers, and a whole lot more. Community Gaming also supports a wide variety of grassroots organizations and tournaments, offering tools and guidance to organizers who just want to get started and supercharge their events. Head over to communitygaming.io to learn a little bit more about them. But Sparky, I have a question for you. Who do you
What's
think who do you think is going to be the key players to watch out for here for Fragubag? Because we have a group of kind of star players as it is.
Oh, it's true. They have a lot of them. I think Retro would be my pick for the main person. He has a lot of experience. He plays on Renegades, very very often, as he is one of their players who is on the main roster. But he has a lot of competitive experience. He's been playing on Renegades for a long time. This guy probably has really the most experience out of all of these, at least in the Valorant scene that I know. Ethos is probably the star player in terms of he has a massive following. He's a content creator for NRG. And I know he loves to play Yoru. I'm not sure if he's gonna pull it out for this tourney, but I'd be excited to see it if he does.
Yeah, I've seen Ethos play Yoru, I think twice on stream. And hey, he did win a Sunday Showdown with Yoru, so that is definitely something that he could pull. But I think we gotta not sleep on Tax, who is an NRG player as well. So you gotta always be on the lookout. And if you didn't know, Huston also played for FYB for Time In when that was Ninja's team back a little while ago. So it's kind of a who's who of the tier two scene, this Frag Bag roster. And I got to be honest, I'm really surprised that they booked an L to Evil Geniuses, despite how good Evil Geniuses certainly can be. Which means that it's going to be an uphill battle for Dynasty Farm Animals, if you ask me. Especially because, well, we just kind of put out that you know Dynasty Farm Animals don't have a whole lot of experience together that we could find. Now, granted, they might have been playing in ranked for years. Maybe this is a group of friends who just show up and they frag out. I hope that we can see that, but I don't know that that's going to be the case. What about you?
I'd love to see it. Definitely haven't, heard of them before, but that's the great thing about these types of tourneys. We can definitely see upsets. The LAN experience is definitely a lot different than playing on
Oh yeah.
online, and that can throw some people off as well. For our first map, though, we will be heading to Haven, which I'm excited for. I'm glad that we get to have a different map every single time for the past 3 games because I hate it when I have to cast Ascent 3 times as NA usually does. We are waiting to get one more player into the lobby, and we will be launching the game as soon as we can to bring you guys the action. But it is going to be Frag your bag on defense, and excited to see how they play this defense out. If it's anything that we saw from Same Law, who is also a bunch of tier 2 players, tier 1 players who have a lot of experience. They played very solo. They played very well together, but a lot of it was that individual play shining through. I wonder if Frag Bag is going to be something very similar to that.
My gut tells me that that's definitely going to be the case. I would be surprised if we saw, anything more than sort of standard strategy coming from them. Like you were just alluding to, they're all very experienced players who know, kind of the ins and outs of the tier two scene of that area. I actually just got some further info about Dynasty Farm Animals. That we actually have information on where these teams are from, and all five players on that team are from Ohio. So that suggests to me, I mean, if you weren't aware of where the land is taking place, it is in Ohio. That suggests to me that there's a real possibility that this is a local squad.
Yeah, of course. And I mean, they have the local buff, right? This is their home turf. They're the home team. You think can bring some of that local buff to the map. Unfortunately, they aren't playing, the map in. I mean, this is gonna be sound weird, but unfortunately, Haven Innocent in Ohio, so it's a little bit of a port over. But hopefully, they still bring some of that home turf advantage to the server in and of itself. Unfortunately, we still are waiting for that one more into the lobby. I just gotta say, Vincent, what are you expecting in terms of just like the agent picks? We saw a little bit of weird stuff from Ojai. He picked the chamber, something we haven't seen him play that role very often, but just in general, just the chamber. So, what are you expecting? Are you going to see more chamber? Are we going to see the Yori? What are you thinking?
Well, let me shift back just 1 second before I
Okay.
get to your question, because I actually think it's really interesting that you were talking about home advantage. And whilst you're right, the map itself not being played there, well, there is the potential, especially if you're really local to the land center, that you play on these PCs all the time. And if you've ever played in a land environment, that's half the battle. Getting used to the PC that you have. Sure, you have your mouse, your keyboard, but that's not everything. Oftentimes there can be settings that you don't recall, don't quite remember, et cetera, that are a little bit uncomfortable. So that home advantage, I think, could be a real factor. How much, that's yet to be determined. Back to your question, I think Yoru as a question, I just kind of doubt it. I think that the only way we see the Yoru is if Ethos is kind of trolling just a little bit. As much as I would enjoy watching that, because he's really good at it and he can pop off, I think more than likely we're going to see Gucci play on the smoke roll, more than likely on the Astra, and beyond that, I think things are a bit more up in the air.
He's hovering it. Oh, come on, Ethos. He's not gonna do it for me. Yeah, he's gonna be on that Sova. I mean, Ethos plays, I think, a lot of everything. He's played Yoru. He plays Jet, I believed, a lot for Flick Baiters when
Yep.
before they disbanded, and now he's going to be playing the Sova for this team. I don't expect to see some really crazy lineups. Usually, you're gonna see those from the players who've been playing Sova since beta, who've just been labbing for 10 hours straight inside a custom game, something that I personally find extremely boring. But hey, Sova players love to do that stuff, so probably going to see only the most basic of lineups, but still, Sova, such an amazing pick, especially on Haven. Just his wall hacking potential itself is just unrivaled.
You're not a fan of finding the nerd arrows, as Hiko likes to say?
Not personally, but I respect the people who love, you know, watching average Jonas figure out one arrow for like 5 hours straight.
True. That is a level of commitment that I just don't have the time to put forth. But what I do have time to put forth is time to watch these fantastic players in this awesome tournament. And it's going to be getting started here shortly with Frag Bag on the defense and Dynasty starting out here on the attack.
Double duelist setup for both teams, actually. The Jet and the
Scanning ahead.
Reyna, which we've been seeing quite a bit of this tournament. Expected, since this is definitely teams that have been formed for just this tournament, not necessarily ones that have been coming from their own stuff. A lot of aggression here, as we predicted from Frag Bag, and they're just taking the fight straight to Dynasty Farm Animals.
Yeah, quick and easy. He's Karmic, who does have the Sheriff. It's always weird calling that a Sheriff, even though it's definitely is.
So it's a
But
little bit different, but yeah. Push,
yeah,
yeah. Either way, pushed back here. Fraggy Bag just decided to give it up, give them a little bit more space. Don't possibly bleed out the numbers right in a 5 versus 3. Saw that a lot in our game one, and don't want to make those same mistakes. But Dynasty Farm Animals still have to clear all of this out, and that's going to take time, utility they don't have, and possibly dropping something in terms of just noise. 40 seconds left on the clock. Feels like Dynasty Farm Animals just trying to see if they can poke and prod somewhere, possibly get onto a site for free.
Yeah, I think that
30 seconds
that's a
left.
great point you made, and I think the reason that Dynasty going elsewhere is because of that fact. They don't really have the time or utility, but
One enemy
Hudson
remaining.
certainly has the shots,
Spike
and they
down, C.
are looking good. Karmic is all alone. He's connected one, but can't quite find much more. And another point to kind of make here, you talked about how Ethos was kind of a duelist player for Flick Baiters, and that's kind of the case for basically all this entire team other than Gucci. He's normally a smoke player, but Hudson when he was playing for Time End was a Reyna, oftentimes a Jet. Same thing for Tex, and I mean we know what Retro does, and he's on it right now.
Yeah, all these players, I mean, they have most of their experiences probably on Duelist, but when you're playing at that high of a level, it definitely, you can play a lot of these other characters still at a very high level if you ever have to fill in for a teammate or you want to run something like a different comp. Very aggressive here from Dynasty Farm Animals. You saw, the Jet pulled back from the tripwire, but Frag it back, they're making the adaptation and they're already ready to play.
Gucci gonna find one shot in the back.
One
It's a
enemy
nice
remaining.
pinch.
Spike
Hudson and
down,
Gucci,
C.
Tex involved as well. Means that Secrets, well, he's going to have to keep the secret. And that's going to be, well, where the heck is he hiding?
Right? Oh, gets the shot, but I mean, it's Retro with the Marshall. Unless you're going to hit that double dink, Secrets isn't going to get any of it. A flawless second round to Frag It Bag. Feels great. You secure that economy. You're going to keep every single one of your guns into this next round. And Dynasty Farm Animals, they'll be on rifles now. Some teams, they're not the pistol round. They're not very good with those pistols or with those strats, but rifle rounds are really the defining moment for them. They got to win this one. Hopefully got to win it decisively in order to get that economy well squared up. They're heading back towards this A site. It's going to be some aggression here, which could catch them off guard. There's already Star ready for the suck, but so far, Dynasty Farm Animals just ready for this aggression.
Yeah. And unfortunately, they haven't been able to deny it yet. And Tex with a double kill, even through the sidewall, they are able to find success. Means that this is just a devastating loss for Dynasty Farm Animals. They cannot come back from this without finding a couple of additional return frags. And it's going to be Fruity, who does try to do just that with the spike in hand. Unfortunately, it's Ethos off angle and Gucci's Spectre that do the job, keeping Frag Bag in winning straights against the buy.
Yeah, Dynasty Farm Animals actually had a very good play there. They're waiting for aggression that they most likely are going to expect. Frag Bag give them exactly what was expected, but unfortunately, they're still able to come out on top. Dynasty Farm Animal not able to land the shots. I mean, the positioning was just a little bit off in order to trade out their teammates or just to hit the heads. But either way, Frag Bag win out on that bonus. They upgraded to the rifles as well. Ethos and Retro are sitting on 6K. Meanwhile, every single player from Dynasty Farm Animals can be sitting on just those sheriffs, heading back to this A site.
Yeah, I think this is a worrying sign. That first gun round, you wanna show your opponents of your Dynasty Farm Animals, especially when they have such star power, that they need to respect their duels. And right there, Frag Bag did no such thing, no respect shown, and there's a good reason why. Is already Frag going back their way. FYB in such a good position. I guess I shouldn't say FYB because this is not technically FYB.
So definitely the same acronyms though, as I'm sure that's why they came up with Frag Bag instead of what FYB is normally stood for. But pick Dynasty Farm Animals, 3 people left, sheriffs in hand, getting pinched from the back, 3 people from the front. There's pretty much nowhere for them to go. Gonna fight the flank with Texas there, and this guy, I mean, he knows what to do, right? Doesn't need to overcommit, doesn't need to give anything
30
away. Just
seconds
drop
left.
him here, and that spike will not be able to get him.
I mean, look at the time left, right? Tex falling back. There are just allows for
Spike
Dynasty
down
to make
A.
decisions and make bad ones as well. As to be fair, they're also not really in a position to make any other
I have
decision,
the spike.
as they're
10 seconds
caught
left.
between three different players. Ooh, nice upgrade for Flames, but it's unfortunately short-lived. The quad for a Retro, and we talked about him at length, and that is why. Easy does it.
Yeah, great use of the timeout there, understanding that they definitely need the next couple rounds. They've been looking a little bit lost, especially in that last one. They stagnated really hard towards that A long, didn't really know what to do with the remaining time left with the situation that was at hand. So they can talk things through in this timeout, hopefully come up with some sort of game plan. Because so far, Fraggy Bag, even if they walk into situations which aren't the best for them, they're coming out on top.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? Right now, Frankie Bagger, they're playing a bit of a just a little bit of an aim duel, just the aim battles. They're not really worried about the strategy other than just play together, play for trades. Which at its basic level, that's what this game is about: is playing for trades. But you got to show if you're dynasty that you can handle that you can answer back, that you can punish aggression, and that's probably the conversation going on here in the dynasty camp. How do we punish that aggression from the likes of Retro, from the likes of Tax, etc.
Looks like they're gonna hug over towards the C site for this time. It's actually been completely left alone so far from Fraggy Bag. The Cypher's gonna go back and put that tripwire that the just actually dashed through and got stuck on last time. And it's gonna be that solo Cypher to try and defend against this. Early info is given, and this actually allows for Tex to just walk down. He's in the perfect spot to early flank. He's in the perfect spot to even take an early pick and just completely dismantle this team.
Tax
I know
caught off guard a little bit there.
you are.
Wasn't looking in the right direction, and so actually is going to get punished for the trouble. C site's open. Dash in, no unnecessary, certainly effective. Karmic going to put that plant down with ease. A little bit late on the suck there for Gucci, so retake going to have to be good. There's a Blade Storm. Should it be wanted? And Ethos using the Owl drone to find out some information, but he actually loses the gunfight there to Flames. And so now it's a question mark of, do you really want to use the Blade Storm here? Considering that you're down so big, maybe not. Retro, 2 frags already. Uses the dash to try and get out, and Karmic gonna win his gunfight as well. That is a big round for Dynasty off the back of their timeout.
Fraggy Bag there, losing a couple of picks early, maybe getting a little overzealous, and Dynasty Farm Animals are quick to punish. They get around for themselves, but I mean, the thing with Fraggy Bag is I don't expect them to necessarily make those mistakes again, right? You have the Cypher rotating over towards that A site, probably going to have Tex walk down another time, but this guy's experience, he's going to understand, hey, that was a bad peak last time. I'm going to keep my gun out, not really be as overzealous. But Karmic, I mean, you can't be ready for that if he's just going to swing the angle wide and take your head out.
This is exactly what Dynasty needed. They needed to show that they are contenders, that they are not just going to get run over by aggressive swings, and that they can punish whenever it's necessary. And that's going to mean that Gucci needs to try to find an equalizer, and that's what he's so good at, just finding timings and openings here, and he does indeed do that to perfection. Retro playing with fire here, but it's Footy, the one who gets burned as he swings into the operator of Retro and gets taken out for the trouble.
Oh, Retro here in this angle is huge. He locks down that C site. This is going to push the rest of the team over towards A, but look at the setup. Those are some kill trips on the A side. I assume there's going to be a one-way in heaven as well where that Cypher is playing. And with the Astra available and ready to rotate through, this A side is going to be deadly.
Austin's here. Needs to find something. He's heard the information, right? So when do you peek out? Now he knows that there's a player on towards the site, but he's giving himself away as well. Nicely done. Really strong recon bolt to come through. Here comes the Blade Storm. Now lost there by Ethos. Huston trades, making a double on the site. It's Retro to pick up the final frag as Big work by Huston there on the information game as well as picking up the frags when needed.
Oh,
Yeah, and you
this is
talked about the
important.
recon being huge. I want to, kind of elaborate on to why. When you see only those two people stuck in default, not only do you clear out the entirety of the space, you don't have to peek any of the angles. You can focus your attention fire on that default position. But when you see that they're at default, you know that there's nowhere you can go, right? Huston is still in heaven. He's going to catch anyone rotating towards short, rotating towards long. That means it's an easy pinch from Frag Bag. Even though the first pick doesn't necessarily go their way. Retro back on that operator, looking down C long. He's currently 10-2. And the way he's been playing, I fully expect him to get a couple more for himself.
Blade Storm comes out immediately for Dynasty. It's an aggressive updraft play over the top for Karmic, but that really doesn't do anything but damage to the Sova on the opposition. So Ethos is more than happy to contend. No one found by that Howl drone. It's going to lure Gucci into a false sense of security because Flames has already gotten that forward position. Really good work there by Dynasty to manufacture themselves an opening.
Ooh, the updraft and the late to catch out Tex. Two frags found for Dynasty Farm Animals, and they're heading over to kind of get their A site for themselves. Huston's here. He's going to be able to defend against this, but it's only going to get one.
Last player standing.
Yeah, and Karmic continuing his version of justice is taking out literally everything in his path. It's now 1 versus 4, and Retro, I think it might be save time. Especially
Oh,
after that shock dart does some chip
Ye-
damage.
it's definitely save time for Retro, but Dynasty Farm Animals, you can see they're already on the hunt. Reyna making their way up towards B should hear the footsteps and the sound cues given over. Oh, the timing doesn't work out. Retro doesn't know that he's there. And now he has to be careful of two different angles here in C long.
Oh, is he going to be exposed? Yes, he
You are
is.
so
Flames dispatching the operator and making life even more difficult for Frag Yabag. And, well, you don't normally anticipate that there's a second attempt at that updraft play, mostly because typically you use both updrafts in the first shot.
Yeah, I believe. I mean, I don't play Jet personally, so I'm not the biggest expert on whether or not you necessarily need the double updraft. Definitely doesn't seem like it. Maybe Karmic knows how to do it with just the one, but the second updraft coming up huge to kind of clear out space on that ace site. Flames, I mean, they're still wary of Retro on that operator since Fragger Bag. They had 5 rounds. They've gotten so much money in their pocket. Karmic not able to land the shots and blow the wind out of the sails of Dynasty Farm Animals. They dropped 2, and we've seen them before. Once they drop these numbers, it feels like they're lost and they don't necessarily know what to do.
That's a nice little bait and switch that Frag Yabag just pulled. No, there's no reason for Gucci to be aggressive here, really. He just wants frags, really, and you might get punished for it. Secrets is right around this corner. Meanwhile, the rest of the attackers are looking to group and grab the spike that's in the backside of mid. Again, Gucci playing with fire. It doesn't look like he's gonna get burned this time. So now it's towards Ethos, who's in another phenomenal forward position. How do they anticipate this? They don't.
enemy remaining.
Shots fired. Lines up the 3K as it's a flawless victory for Frag Bag.
Yeah, that's what you expect from Ethos right there. The off angle is huge. He knows how to control that Vandal spray, line them up, and knock them down. Let's see this replay. Nifty little off angle. No one's really expecting him to be just that close up. And the spray down, the flawless is great from Frag Your Bag. Definitely firing back. And now they have 4 ultimates going into this next round to keep that momentum rolling. Now, we did see, I think a lot of it is up to Karmic and Flames. Whenever they're able to create space on these duelists or find an initial pick, it feels like Dynasty Farm Animals are able to be a lot more comfortable with pushing onto these sites, but Retro, he's going to shut that down nearly as fast as he can. Footy, going to be dug a grave as well. 3 people left, 15 seconds into the round. Very little map pressure, if any, really gained here. And even any map pressure they might have had, I mean, it's slowly going away with Gucci pushing down this mid, finding the information.
Yeah, this is a bit brutal.
One enemy
There's another
remaining.
couple of kills
Spike
going
down A.
the way of Gucci. So, oh man, back-to-back flawless victories for Frag, and it does seem as if there's just not a lot of answers for the sheer fragging might of these players, and that's the thing, right? They are good enough to hit the shots, but they're good enough to push W straight into you and still hit the shots. And we see this often in like tier 3 and tier 2, or especially the difference between tier 3 and tier 2. That is just unfortunately kind of a stepping stone moment.
Revealing area.
Retro again catches Karmic, and this is just so hard to deal with. Every time Karmic goes down, you can see just how much slower the Dynasty Farm Animals play, and it just gives Gucci so much space to make plays like this. He pushes out into mid, he's finding these angles that the other team isn't expecting, and he's finding these frags to just put the numbers even more in the favor of Frag.
Last player standing.
Even with
Spike
that
down.
advantaged angle, unfortunately, Fruity can't find it. If Footy can, he's done 2 quick succession headshots. Looking for some more. Can't quite do it, though. Retro taking the pistol out and bringing it to the house. 8-2. Another round gone. And so much money for Frag here.
Yeah, they did deny the knife, which is something, I would say. That mental damage hasn't been done necessarily yet, but it's only 2 rounds left. No ultimates used from Fraggy Bag. They're going to be able to use those. If anything goes a little bit awry, there's 4 people stacked up around this mid berry. I mean, Fraggy Bag have been so careful around mid. They've been really good about just taking the space away, and they're going to do it yet again. Tax, maybe even an accidental kill there through the boxes. He was trying to shoot that drone. But either way, trades still go in their way. Tex gets traded back. It's a 4 versus 4, and maybe Dynasty Farm Animals can do something about this.
Well, they have a couple of rounds. It's not like it's it's not like they have 0 on the board. So it's definitely doable. It's just a matter of, how do you make it work? And right now, it's just been a bit difficult to figure that out. Don't forget the spike. Dynasty nearly leaving it behind, but not to worry. Sova back there to grab it.
You want
And
to
you can
fight it?
see Bag, they were interested there into B. Now they know what's gone down. They know what's coming up. As Karmic dashes in, similar to another winning round from them, is looking to put that spike down pretty quickly.
Knife through the wall. Oh, I don't think he's gonna do it. Retro is ready and waiting with the knives to go through the moment that spike
30
play hits.
seconds left.
There it is. Retro with the knives. The Secret shuts it down, but Ethos coming through. Good for 1. It's a 1v1 with the Astras, and Footy actually pulls the victory. So you ask, can they win it? Can Dynasty pull
Last
something off?
round in the
The
half.
answer is absolutely. They just need to find some limited success, and then they can win in these clutch moments.
Yeah, I was gonna say Dynasty Farm Animals went a little bit slow. Even after that, they weren't getting that spike down. But maybe Frag got a little overzealous there. They didn't wait for that spike plant. The spike wasn't down, it wasn't being planted, and they just rush in anyway. The crossfires were already set up. I think you gotta wait for that spike plant so you take that member out of the actual fight, as they have to plant the spike in that moment. Aggression here from Dynasty Farm Animals. They're looking to take names and take space this time, especially since there is no operator to get that early pick. B site seems to be on the table.
Certainly does. Couple of ults aside. Actually, both the same ults. That's
Through the
nasty work.
smoke.
That's just disgusting. You hate to see that if you're Dynasty. And I'm sure that Frag Bag are just rolling in laughter at here. Because they can't believe that the luck that they've found. Now it's got to be a re-push here towards C. There's A lot to work with.
Also the touch.
Mm.
Pulling them in.
Okay, Huston.
They don't know.
They aren't aware. You're right. In Tex on the backside too. Nasty work
Player
being
standing.
done.
Flawless.
And it's another flawless round. It's all gone. 9-3, the half. And, I mean, I don't even think it matters what side Frag Bag are on. It just looks to me that they are unstoppable.
I mean, Frag was so confident, so aggressive on their defense. I think the offense is just going to complement their play style even more. For Dynasty Farm Animals, I feel like they would have gotten more rounds, but the mental damage of the first 4 rounds of just losing all of that out, you could definitely see it. They're so much less confident. They're not pushing out or swinging nearly as much as they should be. Even in that last push, so like Flames, he was still jiggle peeking, even though he had the flash out. He still wasn't sure whether or not they really should go for that hit pistol round. Dynasty Farm Animals, lots of pressure in order to not get to that double digits for Frag Bag and hopefully make this game a little bit easier for them. But I mean, Frag Bag, they're just running through. They're taking names, taking space, and getting that spike down.
Ooh, nice return fire there. The shock dart. Actually, I say that. It didn't do any damage. Where did it go? How did that miss? I'm not quite sure. Gucci certainly isn't missing. And Tax the same. Rudy tagged and bagged courtesy of Tax. Triple kill for him, and Gucci, just in case he needed it, picked up a double for the trouble.
Yeah, Frag Bag, even though they're on that B side already, they're not holding the angles. They wait for the smokes, their own smokes, might I add, to go down, and they push through it. They push into C-Link, they push into A-Link. There is no respect given to their teammates from Frag Bag. And I think it's working out well for them since they can just take away so much space, and Dynasty Farm Animals might be used to teams giving them a little bit more space, giving them a little bit more than just running at them and killing them. Aggression here, Karmic wins out on the jet battle, but there's only 1 kill. There's Tex here with the Vandal. He's done a lot before, and with this gun upgrade, he can do so much for his team.
Looking good here. Dynasty in position to maybe find some success. I say maybe because obviously Frag Bag, yes, down by 1 player, but it's not the end of the world. And it looks to be a push towards C. All 4 players grouped up in that direction and making their way in. It's going to be defense by Fruity, and it's on the right here. Looks like secrets. Scary. Oh, spam damage as well. Not going to connect, and now it does. Both Ethos and Hex both find kills, and that is suddenly Dynasty on a real tough spot. And it's looking like it's all over. Just 1 player left to find. That's Footy, who does have a nice looking Bucky, but maybe a kill, maybe 2, not much more, surely.
I don't know if they're even gonna go for him. They're looking towards B. Ethos finally gonna peek. Oh, the miss! He missed, but the Bucky is still better. Pushing through, Huston will clean up the final kill, but it's 11 for Frag Bag, and not enough econ damage, I would say, to really make that big of a difference in the economy. See if Frag Bag can win out on this bonus round for themselves. They did last round. They did last half. Definitely could this one as well.
Yeah, I definitely would say so. With that said, you know, there's always possibilities that we could see something different happen. And the Spectres do bound here on this round. Here we go. Frag Bag. It's going to be a leader coming out. Courtesy of Tex, who is the injury man by the looks of it. Secondary leader is there. Footy got 1 frag, but it's going to be traded by Ethos, and Tex has the opener on towards Karmic. Oh no! Tex just connecting shot after shot here. Overhealed the full, and it's looking as if Dynasty going to have to try and fight their way into this site. Oh, okay. All right, Gucci. He wanted the 180. 360, whatever.
360, yeah. Oh man, I mean, You could just see how little respect they're given. They're holding spawn at this point, Vincent. Like, they understand that they can out-frag these opponents. They understand it doesn't really matter for them,
Match
and they can
point.
do whatever they want. So winning out on the bonus match point, 12-3, operator in hand for Huston, actually, who did that a little bit of opping when they were on the defense. Attack sided Cypher up. What do you think, Vincent?
You know, it's definitely not normal, but I mean, when you're winning 12-3, I don't think normal is really a relevant question. It's just, does it work? If yes, then go.
Oh, 5 people towards mid. Secrets will be able to get one just with the wallbang potential. It's a full evacuation. C site on the table, and Dynasty Farm Animals actually doesn't seem to know that it's happening.
No, they didn't have anyone there, and actually they're somewhat losing in mid. They've won a couple of frags, but they've been traded back here late by Ethos
Revealing area.
flank. Huston has used his operator to great effect, and now the jig is up. But for what purpose?
Last
Well,
player standing.
trying to get back in, it's all over.
Attackers
So
win.
quick, so fast. Frag your bag. Take a easy victory against Dynasty Farm Animals, and I mean, listen, I I said it at the beginning, and I think you said the same thing. It was going to be a tough task for this squad, no matter what. And I think we just saw why.
Yeah, you could see the experience, you could see the individual aimers, just everything about Frag Your Bag seems like they were the better players, a team diff at the end. And unfortunately, Dynasty Farm Animals didn't have a whole lot of answers to what was happening to them. They were losing pressure throughout the entirety of the map. They weren't as decisive as they needed to be in order to punish some of the aggroness from Frag Your Bag. Unfortunately, they will go down. Frag Your Bag gets the win for this one. Our match MVP will be Tex, but I don't know if you can say any single person was a match MVP from that one. They all did exceptionally well from Frag Your Bag.
Yeah, I mean, you look at this, it's 16 or sorry, 18 kills at the top of the leaderboard. It's 12 at the bottom, and that's Ethos who's 12, 6, and 9 assists. So, not to wax lyrical for too long about the skill of this squad, but it is, only six frags between the top and the bottom fragger. That definitely is a team effort if I've ever seen one. And so with that, I do think that Frag Your Bag, I think they guarantee themselves a spot out of groups, if I'm not mistaken. 2 wins gets you out. That's what I was told, so I'm sticking with it. And unfortunately, 2 losses means you're gone. We already said goodbye to EQ Red, and I think that means that Dynasty Farm Animals probably out for the count as well. But the thing is, there's a whole lot more to play. A couple of elimination games left as well, which could be getting very interesting. We're gonna be able to shift gears once again, though. So let's pull back up the groups and take a look. We just got done talking about kind of how this group had gone down. We know Evil Genius has already picked up a couple of W's. Frag Your Bag now with their second, and Same Lol already had 2 as well. We're going to be heading over to Group D, though, which we haven't seen a whole lot of just yet. And I think this is an interesting group. Obviously, Cosmic Divide, the big favorites there. But we're going to be seeing them next, I believe, against this RIT or Rochester Institute of Technology, if you're unaware, squad. That's going to be an interesting one. But we're going to go for a break before we get there as well. Not too long. But with that, we'll see you on the flip side here. Be back soon.
About these. In addition to all the cool technology